Hey everyone, this is Iron Nicodemus with The Most Interested Man, and today we're doing the first in a series of videos on restoring old side-by-side shotguns. And what I want to talk about today is kind of an introduction to the next project, which is going to be restoration of a model 1900 Remington. But before I did that, I want to talk about the last project that I just finished up. And this here is a 1963 Fox Model B. It was made by Savage. Savage took over the Fox name and bought this gun back in upstate New York. I'm in Texas. My younger brother was at an auction and saw the gun, bought it. Unfortunately, when we were shipping it down to Texas, the stock was cracked. So the original stock was damaged. Now, the metal work on this is generally in pretty good shape. There's a little bit of light rust and pitting, but overall, it was in good shape, good color case hardens. This is a 1963. So it really isn't that old, has the original 2 3/4 inch chambers, so it was really a woodworking project. So what I did was I got a semi-inletted stock, finished that up, went through and did all of the tang, the trigger guard. I switched this from a full beaver tail forearm to a semi-beaver tail, so it's not a splinter, which would be the smallest, but it's got a little bit to it. And then I also put on the new recoil pad as well. So it's a true oil finish. Everything is done here with the exception of the checkering. So just finished this gun up, and I wanted to start on another one here, which will be a little bit more of a project and a challenge, and that is this Remington 1900. So both of these guns are 16 gauge, which is a caliber that you don't really see too much anymore. Most of the time you're going to see things in 20 and 12. 16 is in between those, and really kind of a unique, different type of cartridge, and that's one of the things that I like about these. It's kind of a smaller frame shotgun, but you get a little bit more than you would in a 20 gauge. So the Remington 1900 was one of two different models that Remington made around the same period in the early 1900s. The other one was the Remington 1894. And the 1894 and the 1900 are mechanically just about identical. The 1894 was a little bit higher grade, so this was kind of more of like the general workman's gun. Not going to have a lot of finish, there's no engraving, anything of that sort. Other than that, mechanically, these are really almost identical. This one has a snap-on forearm, where the other had a different attachment for the forearm. So if you look at these here, this is pretty much as I got it, and it's held up remarkably well. The action locks up completely tight. There's no issues at all with that. You can hear when it closes, it's just an incredible snap. Good alignment here on this part. This gun does look like it had a cracked stock as well at some point, which has been repaired. So even though this is the original wood, I do think that there was a pretty significant repair, which is part of the reasons that I'm not too concerned about making changes to it. The metal, there's really not a lot of what I would call original bluing, but probably more of almost like a patina, if you will. And I know that some folks kind of like that original patina and feel like it should be kept, but my intent here is to restore this back to what it was originally. Originally, this gun would have had color case hardening on the frame, the receiver. All of that has worn off. So the color case hardening, we'll talk more about that in a later video, but it was both for strength as well as aesthetics. So all of that is gone. You can see a little bit of it underneath the forearm, that piece, but with these get exposed both to wear and to sun, that tends to wear off. This is a double trigger gun, so one per barrel. And then the grip right now is more of what they'll call like a semi-pistol grip or a Prince of Wales forearm. So it kind of loops around. It's a softer, and this one, as you saw, has more of a full pistol grip with a cap. This one is more rounded. So what am I going to do with this gun? What I really think is good about this is mechanically, I think it's going to be very solid. I haven't actually shot this gun. It's a 2 5/8 inch chamber, so it's a little bit smaller than your standard 2 3/4 inch. But from everything from just dry firing onto dummy shells, it feels like everything's good. The safety works, the trigger works, everything is crisp, it's hard. So I don't think I'm going to have a lot of issues mechanically with the gun. So it's really more refinishing on the exterior. My intent is to keep the splinter forearm, but put a new one on, so all new wood, What I'd like to do over here is convert this to a straight grip. Now, originally, I don't even know if these came in a straight grip, but what I really want to do is have this one be just a lightweight, kind of like a skeet type gun where it's super lightweight. The double triggers are where you often see the straight grip because you want to be able to move your hand up and down a little bit between these two triggers. On more modern guns where you have a single trigger, even this 1963 Fox, you have a pistol grip because you're locked into one spot. So to reduce the weight and really give it those clean lines, the intent is that I'm going to make this a straight grip as well. Now, we're going to talk more in another video about sizing the stock. This guy is pretty short for me. So I'm about 6 foot tall. When I look at the length of pull, what I should be seeing is a little bit more of a gap here between this area here where my thumb is and up on my nose. This is an original Remington. I think it's a plastic butt plate, so I'm going to keep that. But that means I'm going to need to have a little bit longer stock on this so I can get closer to the length of pull that I want. So we'll talk more about that later. Now, as far as the metal goes, I already did a little bit of a project last night, and I'll make a video about this. There was a dent in the barrel, which we're taking out, doing the best we can with that, and then really just polish out all of the metal. Going to do a video on the full disassembly of this, work everything on the interior, make sure it's all cleaned up, polished, working well, and then polish out the exterior of the frame. This I would like to recolor case harden. Now, whether or not I do that myself is to be determined. That's a little bit of a project, but we'll see how it goes here as we work through the other steps. So I wanted to just give you a little bit more about this. What we're going to do is we're going to do a series of videos on this gun as I go through it. We'll talk about the stock. We'll talk about the metal finishing. I'm going to keep the chambers as they are. We'll just shoot 2.5-inch shells through here. And then I'll also keep the chokes, the fixed chokes, original as well. If at some point down the road I want to lengthen that chamber or open up these chokes a little bit, I'll send that out and can always do that down the road. That doesn't really impact anything that we're doing right now. So definitely hope that you enjoy this video series as we go along, and looking forward to making it and talking to you more about this classic Remington 1900 side-by-side 16 gauge shotgun. Talk to you later.